Dinner time, we are beginning the book of Hosea. The word of Jehovah that came to Hosea, son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Yahazkiah, sovereign of Yehudah, in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel. The beginning of the word of Jehovah with Hosea, and Jehovah said to Hosea, Go take yourself a woman of whoring and children of whoring, for the land has utterly whored away from Jehovah. So he went and took Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And Jehovah said to him, Call his name Yisrael, for in a little while I shall revenge the bloodshed of Yisrael on the house of Yehu, and put an end to the reign of the house of Yisrael. And it shall be in that day that I shall break the bow of Yisrael in the valley of Yisrael. And she conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, Call her name Lo Ruhamah, for no longer do I have compassion on the house of Yisrael, so as to forgive them at all. But I have compassion on the house of Yehudah, and save them by Jehovah their Elohim, and not save them by bow or by sword or battle, by horses or horsemen. And she weaned Lo Ruhamah, and conceived and bore a son. Then he said, Call his name Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not for you. Yet the number of the children of Yisrael shall be as the sand of the sea, which is not measured nor counted. And it shall be in the place where it was said to them, You are not my people. They shall be called, You are the sons of the living El. And the children of Yehudah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and appoint for themselves one head, and shall come up out of the earth, for great is the day of Yisrael. Say to your brothers, O my people, and to your sisters, O compassioned one, strive with your mother, strive, for it is not my wife, nor am I her husband. Let her put away her whoring from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and shall set her up, as on the day she was born, and shall make her like a wilderness, and shall set her like a dry land, and shall put her to death with thirst. And I shall not have compassion on her children, for they are the children of whorings. For their mother has whored. She who conceived them has acted shamelessly. For she said, I go after my lovers, who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my linen, my oil and my drink. Therefore see, I am hedging up your way with thorns, and I shall wall her in, so that she does not find her paths. And she shall pursue her lovers, but not overtake them, and shall seek them, but not find them. Then she shall say, Let me go up and return to my first husband. For then it was better for me than now. And she did not acknowledge that I gave her grain and new wine and oil, and increased her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore I shall turn back and shall take my grain in its time, and my new wine in its appointed time, and I should take away my wool and my linen covering her nakedness. And now I shall uncover her shame before the eyes of her lovers, and no one shall deliver her from my hand. And I shall cause all her rejoicing, her festivals, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, even all her appointed times, to cease, and lay waste her vines and her fig trees, of which she has said, These are my harlot fees that my lovers have given me. And I shall make them a forest, and the beast of the field shall eat them. And I shall punish her for the days of the Baals, to which she burned incense, and adorned herself with her rings and jewelry. And I went after her lovers, and forgot me, declares Jehovah. And went after her lovers. Therefore, see, I am alluring her, and shall lead her into the wilderness, and shall speak to her heart, to give to her vineyards from there, in the valley of Achor, as a door of expectation. And there she shall respond, as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up from the land of Mizraim. And it shall be in that day, declares Jehovah, that you call me my husband, and no longer call me my Baal. And I shall remove the names of the Baals from her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day I shall make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the birds of the heavens, and with the creeping creatures of the ground. When bow and sword and battle I break from the earth, I shall make them lie down in safety. And I shall take you as a bride unto me forever, and take you as a bride unto me in righteousness, and in right ruling, and loving commitment and compassion. And I shall take you as a bride unto me in trustworthiness, and you shall know Jehovah. And it shall be in that day that I answer, declares Jehovah, that I answer the heavens, and they answer the earth. And the earth answer the grain, and the new wine, and the oil, and they answer Yisrael. And I shall sow her for myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who has not obtained compassion. And I shall say to those who were not my people, you are my people, while they say, my Elohim. Then Jehovah said to me, go again, love a woman loved by a friend, and an adulteress, according to the love of Jehovah for the children of Israel, though they are turning to one mighty ones, and love their raisin cakes. So I bought her for myself for 15 pieces of silver, and 1.5 omers of barley. And I said to her, you are to remain with me many days. You are not to whore, nor become any man's, and so I shall also be towards you. For many days the children of Israel are to remain without sovereign, and without prince, and without slaughterings, and without pillar, and without shoulder garment, or house idols. Afterwards the children of Israel shall return, and seek Jehovah their Elohim, and David their sovereign, and fear Jehovah and his goodness in the latter days. Hear the word of Jehovah, you children of Israel. For Jehovah has a case against the inhabitants of the land. For there is no truth or loving commitment or knowledge of Elohim in the land. Swearing and lying and murdering and stealing and committing adultery have increased, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone living there languishes. With the beasts of the field and the birds of the heaven and the fish of the sea are taken away. However, let no one strive or reprove another. For your people are like those striving with a priest. And you shall stumble in the day, and the prophet shall also stumble with you in the night, and I shall make your mother perish. My people have perished for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I reject you from being priests for me. Since you have forgotten the Torah of your Elohim, I also forget your children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. My esteem they have changed into shame. They eat the sin of my people, and lift up their desires in their crookedness. And it shall be like people, like priests, and I shall punish them for their ways, and reward them for their deeds. And they shall eat, but not be satisfied. They shall whore, but not increase, for they have stopped obeying Jehovah. Whoring and wine and new wine enslave the heart. My people ask from their wood, and their staff declares to them. For a spirit of whorings has led them astray, and they went whoring from under their Elohim. They slaughter on the mountain tops and burn incense on the hills, under oak and poplars and terebinth, because its shade is good. Therefore your daughters commit whoring, and your brides commit adultery. I would not punish your daughters when they commit whoring, nor your brides when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go aside with whores, and slaughter with cult prostitutes. A people that do not understand are thrust down. Though you are a whore, Yisrael, let not Yehuda become guilty. Do not come up to Gilgal, nor go up to Beth Aven, nor swear an oath, saying, As Jehovah lives. For Yisrael is stubborn, like a stubborn calf, but Jehovah now feed them like a lamb in a broad place. Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Their drink is sour, they have whored continually. Her rulers wildly love shame. A wind has bound her up in its wings, and they are ashamed because of their slaughterings. Hear this, O priest, and listen, O house of Yisrael. Give ear, O house of the sovereign, for the judgment is for you. For you have been a snare to Mitzvah, and a net spread on Tabor, and revolters have gone deep in slaying, and I reprove them all. I have known Ephraim, and Yisrael has not been hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you have whored, Yisrael is defiled. Their deeds do not allow them to turn back to their Elohim, for the spirit of whorings is among them, and they do not know Jehovah. And the excellency of Yisrael shall witness to his face, and Yisrael and Ephraim stumble in their crookedness. Yehuda shall also stumble with them. With their flocks and herds they go to seek Jehovah, but do not find him. He has withdrawn from them. They have acted treacherously against Jehovah, for they have brought forth strange children. Now a new moon shall devour them with their portions. Blow a shofar in Gebah, the trumpets in Ramah. Shout, O Beth Aven, behind you, O Benjamin. Ephraim is laid waste in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel I shall make known what is certain. The chiefs of Yehuda shall be like those who remove a border. On them I pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment, because he walked after the command when it pleased him. So I am to Ephraim like a moth, and to the house of Yehuda like rottenness. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Yehuda saw his wound, then Ephraim went to Ashshur and sent to sovereign Yareb, but he is unable to heal you, or to remove the wound from you. For I am like a lion to Ephraim, and like a young lion to the house of Yehuda. I myself tear them and go. I take them away, and there is no one to deliver. I shall go, I shall return to my place, until they confess their guilt and seek my face. In their distress diligently search for me, and say, Come and let us turn back to Jehovah. For he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up. After 2 days he shall revive us. On the 3rd day he shall raise us up, so that we live before him. So let us know, let us pursue to know Jehovah. His going forth is as certain as the morning, and he comes to us like the rain, like the latter rain watering the earth. Ephraim, what would I do with you? Yehuda, what would I do with you? For your loving commitment is like a morning cloud, and like the early dew it goes away. Therefore I have hewn them by the prophets, I have killed them by the words of my mouth, and my right ruling breaks forth as the light. For I delight in loving commitment and not slaughtering, and in the knowledge of Elohim, more than ascending offerings. But like Adam, they transgressed the covenant. There they acted treacherously against me. Galaad is a city of workers of wickedness, tracked up with blood. And as bands of robbers lie in wait for a man, so the company of priests murder on the way to Shechem, for they have done wickedness. I have seen a horrible matter in the house of Yisrael. The whoring of Ephraim is there. Yisrael is defiled. Also a harvest is appointed for you, O Yehuda, when I turn back the captivity of my people. Whenever I would heal Yisrael, then the crookedness of Ephraim is uncovered, and the evil deeds of Shomeron. For they have wrought falsehood, and a thief comes in, a band of robbers raids outside. And they do not say to their heart that I remember all their evil. Now their own deeds have surrounded them, they have been before me. With their evil they make a sovereign glad, and rulers with their lies. All of them are adulterers, as an oven heated by a baker, who ceases stirring the fire after kneading the dough, until it is leavened. In the day of our sovereign rulers became sick, inflamed with wine. He extended his hand with scoffers. For they have drawn near, their heart is like an oven. While they lie in wait all the night, their bakers sleep. In the morning it burns like a flaming fire. All of them are as hot as an oven, and they consumed their rulers. All of their sovereigns have fallen. Not one among them calls on me. Ephraim mixes himself among the peoples. Ephraim has become a cake unturned. Strangers have devoured his strength, but he does not know it. Gray hairs are also sprinkled on him, and he does not know it. And the excellency of Israel did witness to his face, but they did not return to Jehovah their Elohim, nor did they seek him for all this. And Ephraim has become a simple dove without heart. They have called on Mizraim, they have gone to Ashur. When they go, I spread my net over them. I bring them down like the birds of the heavens. I chastise them, as their congregation has heard. Woe to them, for they have strayed from me. Destruction to them, because they have transgressed against me. And I myself have ransomed them. Yet they have spoken falsehood against me, and did not cry out to me with their heart when they wailed upon their beds. For grain and new wine they assembled themselves, they turn away from me. I instructed, I strengthened their arms, but they plot evil against me. They return, but not above. They have been like a slack bow, their rulers fall by the sword, for the cursing of their tongue. This is their scorn in the land of Mizraim. Put a shofar to your mouth like an eagle against the house of Jehovah, because they have transgressed my covenant, and they have rebelled against my Torah. They cry out to me, my Elohim, we Yisrael know you. Yisrael has rejected what is good, an enemy pursues him. They have made sovereigns, but not for me. They have made rulers, but I have not known. For their silver and gold they made idols for themselves, so that they are cut off. O Shomeron, your calf has been cast off. My wrath has burned against them. How long shall they be incapable of innocence? For from Israel is even this, a work man made it, and it is not Elohim, for the calf of Shomeron is splinters. For they sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. The stalk has no bud, it yields no grain. If it does not yield, strangers swallow it up. Israel has been swallowed up. They have now become among the nations as a vessel in which is no pleasure. For they themselves have gone up to Ashshur. A wild donkey alone by itself is Ephraim. They have hired lovers. Also, although they sold themselves among the nations, this time I shall gather them, when they have suffered for a while for the burden of the sovereign of rulers. Since Ephraim has made many slaughter places for sin, they have been slaughter places for sinning to him. I have written for him numerous matters of my Torah. They were regarded as strange. As for my slaughterings, they slaughter flesh and they eat. Jehovah shall not accept them. Now, does he remember their crookedness and punish their sins? Let them return to Mizraim. For Yisrael has forgotten his Maker and has built palaces, and Yehuda has increased walled cities. But I shall send fire upon his cities, and it shall devour his strongholds.